This is Scott Spears, and veteran actor and comedian Fred Willard was recently arrested for lewd conduct at a movie theater in Hollywood. According to TMZ, Willard was caught with his pants down in the Tiki Theater in Hollywood when LAPD undercover vice cops went into the theater. PBS has told the New York Times that due to the incident, Willard will no longer be the narrator of Market Warriors, a new show that is a spin-off of Antiques Roadshow. Joining us today to help sort all this out is the author of a great new book, How Dare You Say How Dare Me, legendary comedian, one of my favorite people, Pat Cooper. Pat, how are you?
I'm old again, but that's okay. I'm fine, and I should leave the man. Is this where the vice are in theaters? When we got murderers on the street? We got perverts walking, trying to grab children off the streets? And we got a guy that's going to get arrested because he's having pleasure in a theater? I mean, the president, he had pleasure in the Oval Office. He didn't even own the damn place. Well, now we had to pay $390 for a new carpet. I mean, give me a break. Why don't they, you know what's going to happen to this guy? Look, with the same that happened to Pee Wee Herman. He's going to get another series.
How does that make you feel in your business, show business, that when somebody does this, they get a deal?
I think my personal opinion, and anyone that's in that situation is a lonely person, a very sad person. He probably got no friends, and probably just, to him at that point, he just control himself. So he went to a theater. I don't approve of anybody doing that in a theater and upsetting other people, but most of the people that go to a porno theater, they go there to see pleasure and try to give themselves pleasure. 9 out of 10 don't touch themselves, but then there's always that one guy that'll touch himself and he gets caught. Now, I was in a porn theater many years ago in Atlantic City. I was the only one in the theater. Next thing I know, somebody taps me on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, is that seat next to you taken?" And I says, "I don't believe this. This guy taps, he's looking for a seat next to me." I got up and left. But this is life. What are you going to do? Everything today is sexual on the set. Every time you turn on the set, the television, it's about sex. It's about women, it's about the Kardashians. It's about people being nosy. Instead of wondering who's going to get the health insurance, instead of wondering about who's protecting the streets, instead of wondering about why is he masturbating, let's help the guy. I mean, right away they took him off the series, so what does that make him? Made him horny. So he was in a place that maybe he shouldn't have been, so maybe he don't have a place to do it. I'll give you another story many years ago, which was unheard of. A friend of mine's 25th anniversary. You know what he got his wife for 25th anniversary? He got her a woman. He got her a woman, my Ota guy, when the neighborhood found out he had to move. I'd have stood there. Because people are so stupid to do things that's natural, to do things that people like fantasies, so they go out and they try out their fantasies, and we all say, "How dare you?" Look at the guy. Look at the guy, the Democratic guy from Congress, showing his body all over the internet. Look at the governor. Another guy was banging broads, 3,000 a shot. You got to support families for 6 months. But these guys here are supposed to be bright. They're going to run our country, and you know what it is? They're normal, but they don't know how to be horny. That's their problem. They don't know how to stay home, but they got to show their private parts. Look at Howard Stern, who's a brutal guy. He's a brutal guy, and he's a terrible human being, and he's a bully. They just gave him $15 million to check out talent. How can a man who don't have talent check out talent?
Now, Pat, this brings up a very interesting subject here. For many years, you were on the Howard Stern show, but
yes,
in the last few years, you have kind of been on the outs with him.
Because he's not a nice man. He thinks he walks on water. I told him, I said, why we got to pay $20 a month to listen to the same crap that you've been doing for 20 years? Why are you going serious? You have no respect for the people who made you. Now they put him on a show that is going to, America has talent. The people on the show, America Has Talent, it's a big joke. It's a big joke. It's an amateur show that they're calling professional. So a guy who swallows a sword, he's in show business. The other thing I call him, he's a cutthroat. I mean, give me a break. So how can the young kids who go to college and want to be a teacher for $35,000, $40,000 a year, when idiots are getting millions of dollars and abusing the system, and now we're worried about the Times writing about Fred Willard who masturbated in the theater. I hope he finished.
Well,
because nobody understands that we're human. We make mistakes. As long as you're not hurting anybody personally. All right, so they give him a fine. Tell him to keep his thing in his pants, and don't do it again. But they got to humiliate him and tear him down. And a vice guy says, "Look how I arrested." What if I was his mother or his father? I mean, there's no feeling out there for people who are lonely, for people who have feelings and don't know how to exercise it. I'm all by myself. I lost my wife 8 years ago. And I don't have no time to masturbate. I don't have time. I'm old. I forgot where to find it. But I turn around. I'll look at a porno movie for one reason. I want to remember what the hell we used to do. But I remember, and I had great times. Of course I masturbated. I had Joan Crawford one masturbation. I had Olivia de Havilland one masturbation. So they should arrest me for these kind of thoughts.
But
give
Pat,
me a break.
But now, Pat, you never went to a public place. I think that's the problem.
Yes, I did.
You did.
I go to porno mag, but I told you when I used to go, I would sit down and watch a movie. In fact, I'm trying to get some porno movies now that are documentaries, but I can't seem to find them. They were made in Germany. They were made in England. They were made in Denmark. I mean, I don't know how to get them. I got friends of mine seen if you could do it, talking about how to be sexual and how to teach your children how to be sexual. We have no porno movies like that because, God forbid, we should educate our children the right way and say you are human. Just control it, that's all. Enjoy your life.
Pat,
these people make me laugh.
Pat, if Fred Willard had went to the porno theater and not masturbate, or pulled his pants down is what they're saying, would it be an issue? I think that's the issue, that he masturbated in public.
I understand that. I don't approve of that. Yesterday they showed on the television in Philadelphia a man grabbing a kid, a 5-year-old kid. Good thing we had those cameras. That, what to me, is more important. I say, Fred Willard, get him, slap him on the hand, and say, listen, there's a place. He might be terribly lonely. I'm not defending him. This is a hell of an actor. He's probably the nicest guy in the world. He's probably got nobody. And he says, what am I to do? Rather than do it in his house, I'll go in the theater and make believe I'm having an affair with that girl on the screen. Who the hell knows?
Well, the question then begs itself. He has been fired from one of his jobs. Does a company have the right to fire you for something you do off the clock?
Well, listen, what about the guy on Fox? What's his name? I can't think of his name offhand. The guy on Fox that made fun of the black girls who were basketball players.
Oh, Don Imus.
Imus.
Yeah.
They fired him, and he settled for $20 million. Hello? And then Fox puts him on. So look at the hypocrisy of Fox. He gets thrown off one place, and they hire him here. So what's going to happen if they hire Fred Willard tomorrow? What are they going to say? You shouldn't have done that. He masturbated. Did he commit a crime? Yes, he did it in a theater. Okay, so you give him 30 days. Look at the basketball players. They shoot each other with guns. Look at Michael Vick. $100 million deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. Look at the hypocrites of the Philadelphia people. Here's a guy turning around, having dog fights, and they gave him $100 million. And every time he threw a football and got a touchdown, we love you, Mike. What a hypocrisy society we have. How dare they? How dare they allow to give this man $100 million or Howard Stern $50 million? They're not good for the society.
Well, Pat, yes, I think you're exactly right on all those issues, but the question is, if Fred Willard is in kid shows, or shows that have a wholesome image, like PBS, public broadcasting, very wholesome, when you have a story like this go out, doesn't it kind of hurt that show in a way if he's still on it?
Yes, because a lot of people say that's the guy that was caught masturbating in the theater. Then the next day, that's the guy who masturbated in the theater. By Thursday of next week, I like his acting. I told you, Pee Wee Herman did the same thing. And he wound up on television. He wound up in a Pee Wee Herman circus. What are you going to do to Fred now? Punish him more than Pee Wee Herman? I mean, come on, I know what you're saying. I'm ashamed that the man would have to do that. I would never do it because I'm too stupid. I have class. I have to know the rules and regulations. I'm scared of getting caught doing anything wrong. I robbed $5 on my mother's pocketbook. She almost threw me out the window. And I'm her son. If you ever do that again, I'll kill you. How dare you?
Well, that's the question, Pat. As a celebrity, which you were one of the biggest and are one of the biggest, what is the rule of thumb when people know who you are? Because that's what, if he would have done this at home, who would have known, who would have cared? As a celebrity, don't you kind of have to be aware, especially in this day and age, to not go to a theater?
In this day and age, listen, right now I am disappointed in the whole new era that we're going through. I mean, when you see shows on that should not be on, that are absolutely disgusting, but we're not allowed to say that because the sponsors are making millions of dollars. And I bring up the Kardashians. I don't got nothing against them personally. I get that Kim Kardashian gets married 72 days later. She turns around, and now she's walking around with another guy, and they just signed her a 3-year contract. How dare they do that? How dare they shove these people down our throat? What about that? So if you're going to put Fred Willard off and tell him he can't make a living no more, then you better tell those people they can't make a living because that's the worst family on the planet.
Well, what is the rule as a celebrity, Pat? What would you do at home that you would not do in public? Because people are watching because it's Pat Cooper.
You know what? Listen to me. Look, I'm a different animal. I'm a different animal. I still believe in right is right and wrong is wrong. I still believe that. I still believe that we don't have any more decency like we used to. They should go to college, and the first thing is teach them how to be people. Teach them to take the garbage out. That's what I told my granddaughter. She had a skirt on that you saw her behind. I said, why don't you walk backwards? And she says, what do you mean? We want to look at your face. Why are we looking at your rear end? Does that make you sexier or stupid? And she don't know because I'm a very hard guy, but I'd kill for her. I would take a bullet in my head for her. But I'm just trying to help her. I don't want to see Fred Willard get hurt. He did something wrong. Of course he did. Of course he did. But in a week from now, they're going to forget about it. Let the guy go back to work, for crying out loud. Don't punish him. Look what they did to Muhammad Ali. Everybody said, he's a disgrace to our country. All of a sudden, he turned around. He said, I'm not going to serve my country because the black people are treated like no right, legal people. He stood by his guns. Now the people love him. What is that hypocrisy? Now the people love him. They touch his face because basically he was a great guy, and he lost 3 years of his earning power. And the only one stood behind him was Howard Cosell.
Yeah.
What about those people who said, they ought to shoot him? He had a black guy back. Now they love him. You hypocrite.
Absolutely.
Ain't you glad you called me?
No, I'm always glad I talked to you, Pat. It's always an interesting opinion. Has there ever been a time in your career, because you're an honest guy, there's no doubt about that, maybe nothing of this level, that you did something as a celebrity that you didn't want people to see, that somebody took a picture or took a video and you were mad about it?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
I had sex with my wife in the dressing room.
Really?
Yes, in Las Vegas. I went nuts. I hugged that kiss and we started talking about Deep Throat. My wife never saw a porno movie, and Sammy Davis, and this is document, he bought out the theater. Excuse me, it's in Reno. It was in Reno at Harris. He bought out the theater in Reno, and she goes, where are we going? So we're going to go see a movie. Sammy Davis is opening it for everybody. I didn't tell her it was a porno. My wife comes from a little hometown that they speak so soft that you need a dog to listen to them. And I said, she goes, what kind of movie? She says, well, don't worry about it. I wanted her to see this. She's never seen it. I wanted her to see this, to let know what's going out there, to let know what people are talking about, that she's not an idiot, don't know. Well, we got not even halfway through the movie, she got up, she says, I got to get out of here. I says, well, you finished it. I got to get out of here. This is not for me. I said, okay, it's not for you. 2 days later, I jumped in the backstage. I go, is this for you? Do you love me? She says, for you, I'll walk around here nude. So if I would have got caught, Sammy Davis would have said, can I jump in? So come on. I get my crazy moments. I'm old now. I'm going to be 83. I don't have anybody in my life. I took a girl to Italy. I paid her. I said, here's your own room, my own room. She's working for me. After 3 days, she says to me, aren't I appealing? I said, bananas are appealing. What do you think I took in Italy to go to bed with you? Are you nuts? But this is what you're up against. I paid her. 2 weeks later, we went home. I didn't take her to go to bed. I could have spent $1,000 a week on abroad. Give me a break. But you know, people wonder why you're nice. How dare you be nice? Why? Because you can't be nice. Why is he doing that? I don't never do that because he's a jerk. No, he's kind. Kindness today is terrible. It's tough. Ain't you glad I called?
As I say, Pat, it has been a fascinating conversation. It always is. And you know, the truth is you're one of the most honest people that I ever deal with. I mean, you are loud and you are opinionated, but you know what? You tell the truth. And
you gave me a chance to express my opinion, which is worth millions of dollars. I mean, what you did for me by letting me yell and scream over the air, and people in Ohio, how far this show of yours goes, whether they like me or not, but they heard it from me. I don't hear it from anybody else. I don't think it's funny. People that call me today say, this jerk, this fool. What about if it was your son?
Yeah.
Let's start with that. What if it was your mother? Let's start with that. Okay, let's talk about the comics. Some of their material is filthy, low garbage. Let's talk with that. And they're making millions of dollars. So, there you go.
Pat, how are we
going to clean up? We got to clean up all or none at all. That's it.
Pat, I want to ask you one parting question here. What do you feel? I mean, we picked up on it somewhat. Your business today, stand-up comedy, what's your feeling on it?
I like stand-up comedy. That's true stand-up. I came from my era. I learned from the greatest comics who were Jewish. They had a rhythm. You'll never see that again. The Sid Caesars, the Milton Berles, the Henny Youngmans. You ain't going to see that. It's in their genes. I tell people the reason they're funnier, they're born with it. And I learned about a flow, a comedic flow. That's why I lasted all these years. And then I opened my mouth on what's his name, the guy that goes on after Johnny Carson.
Tom Snyder.
I opened my mouth and told people what I didn't like about people I was working with, and people said, you lost your career. I'm still here. What do you mean I lost my career? I still got a fan base. I'm not begging for a job. I made a nice piece of change. God bless. I took care of my grandkids. Oh, yeah, and I got no education. How lucky can I get? My daughter turns around $42,000 a year. I said, I made that last night. And I'm a dummy.
You know, Pat, that's interesting. That appearance you did on Tom Snyder's Tomorrow Show 30 years ago, after you did that, was there anybody who didn't speak to you again in your business?
Yes, I had a lot of people say, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You finished the show business. I said, really? I got more phone calls to go to work. I got more phone calls for people say, I want the guy, I want on Howard, I went on Tom Snyder and blasted some of the performers he worked with.
Who was the worst?
And they gave me more money.
Who was the worst? Which celebrity called you and gave you the hardest time?
Copacabana. Flamingo. In Vegas. I went up and, I'm sorry?
Was there a person in general, was there a celebrity that said, I won't work with him anymore after that?
Oh, I got news here. Stephen Eady, that was the end of that. Lola Falana, that was the end. When they asked Lola Falana about my remarks, she goes, the only thing she could say is, he's jealous. Jealous of a no talent? Jealous of a person who's rude to me, who don't treat me like a human being? What, are you kidding me? But you see, that's unheard of. Had I done it today, I might have been even bigger. Because today, everybody's squealing on everybody.
Well, I tell you what, the book, there's not a more honest book. How Dare You Say How Dare Me by legendary comedian Pat Cooper. Pat, you always have an open invitation to come on.
Listen to me. If your friends want to buy that book, and I ain't making a dime on it, I tell you that. I don't give a damn about the money. Let them go to Amazon. It's cheaper, and it's a great book because it's honest, and you're going to do a lot of laughing. And the only reason I wrote the book, because people who have no life are writing books, and they're boring. If you don't like my book, you'll say one thing, boy, does he have a good book.
Thank you.
I love you, and I thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Pat. Bye-bye.